So welcome to another episode of Behind the Dreamers with the Starter Girls. I am Jennifer Loading.
And I'm Brianna Drelas, and today we are talking to the dreamers, the creators, achievers, and the magic makers.
That's right. These are our friends. These are your friends, and they are living the extraordinary. Today's episode is brought to you by Walt Mills, photographer of Glad Models Agency. If you are here in the Dallas or surrounding area and looking for some photography work, check out Walt Mills. You can learn more about him and his work at photosbywalt.com. All right, so we are super excited. We have an amazing guest on here with us today, Keri Cooper. So Keri, we're so glad to have you here today. She's the owner of Keri Cooper Holistic Therapy. She counsels teens and works to give them the tools they need to navigate life. She takes a holistic approach to therapy, looking at the whole person, not just their symptoms. She's also the author of a book that she is showing us in the back. And then she's a speaker who helps educate teens and parents on the topics teens face in everyday life. So welcome, Keri. We're super thrilled to have you here today.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me here today.
This is such a great topic. I am so glad to have you on here with this because I think
especially in Mental Health Awareness Month. And I know that this episode's going to go out in June, but it is May. So this is probably is this number 50 podcast that you've done this month based on, your book title or?
Yes, it's been a busy month for mental health.
That's great.
I can imagine. So Keri, tell us a little bit, how did you get into this? How did this come about for you?
Sure. So I think it was really just because I had a rough time growing up. I really didn't like school. I didn't really know where I fit in. And it was funny. I actually talk about my guidance counselor that I had when I was in elementary school in my book, and I didn't like her. And she wasn't really nice. And she was really unhelpful. And I remember thinking, kids need someone that they can talk to because all kids are going through these growing pains, middle school, high school, they're not easy years. So I decided I'm going to be that person. So I went to school to become a therapist. And I've always worked just with teens and college students, sometimes middle school and younger, but that's really my specialty because I feel like they need to be able to come somewhere, dump their stuff out, gain some tools, and be able to get through this life.
Wow. Yeah, that's amazing, Keri.
Thank you.
You're right, because those high school and college years, we are changing and shifting and evolving so much. And we have sort of this connection to our home, our family, our parents, or whatever they've taught us. And I just remember being in college and thinking, I have to cut the string. Like that, it's like the guilt thing. We laugh, we call it like the Catholic guilt or whatnot. But it was just sort of the guilt that I felt for maybe leaving my mom behind or for, whatever that is. But I had to cut the string if I was going to move on and keep evolving.
Right. That struggle is real. Yes.
Yeah. But I didn't really have anyone to kind of help me navigate that. So the fact that that's what you're committed to and yeah, I don't know. I'm sorry. That's amazing. I think it's terrific.
It's really that's good. To be able to become your own person because you're right. You have your family's influences, you have friends, and you're trying to figure out what feels right for you and what voices do you listen to. And the reality is you have to be able to find and listen to your own voice unless you're never truly going to be happy. You can't go into a career because somebody else wants you to. You can't be in a relationship because somebody else thinks it's a good idea. You have to really, figure out what's good for you.
Yeah. Well, and I was going to say to add to that, because I'm a parent of teen adults. All of mine are now officially 18 and up. Yes, we got them to adulthood. Yes. And I've said this, Brianna's heard me share this before. I say some of the most difficult years have been that in between stage of teen to adulthood, you feel like they all go through stages. And I remember the terrible twos, and I'd say like the terrible threes and the fours too, because some of them didn't have terrible twos. They got to 3 and 4 and became terrible, right? They all have stages. And I think what's so great about parenting is that you learn to pivot as a parent through all the different stages. But I have said this over and over. I think some of the most challenging times that I've had to deal with kids is during this teen to adult phase, because they are really trying to make that transition of how do I break loose and be this adult but yet I still want to be the kid to mom and dad, and that fine line of, well, I'm 18 now and I can make decisions, but you're still not really paying your bills or able to sustain your lifestyle yet, and these conversations. So I think it's awesome that you're in that place where you can really connect, with them in that age and help them through that kind of stuff.
And what you just said is so true for parents. You're pivoting at every single age. So right when you think you got it down, a whole new set of issues come in and you have to relearn the whole thing. And that's my book, Mental Health Uncensored, really talks about how to parent for any age. What are the foundations for every age group that you need down, because every age group is going to give you their own challenges.
Yeah. And each kid will too, right, Brianna? I mean, that's when you think you got through one and you're like, oh, I got this. We made it through, that. Then the next one comes and goes, wait a minute. No. I'm not going to be like the one before. I'm going to be different on you again.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's amazing how all of their, and why wouldn't I think this is the case, but all of their personalities are so unique.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually thought, as a parent, I'm like, I parent the same with each one, but I don't. I don't parent the same with each one because they all have different personalities, and it's not a one size fits all deal.
I'm so happy you mentioned that. I have 4 children as well. And you can't have the same way of parenting for each child. It won't be effective. Each one has their own personality, their own strengths, where they need help. And also that even goes in with rules. You can't just make blanket statements many times because every child really needs something different.
Yeah, it's like, but that's not fair. That's not fair. Well, she's a different child. Like she's different. Like, and that was the other thing. Like my mom, well, I always have to be fair. And I'm like, oh my God. Like, but now I'm a parent and I used to think I'm going to be fair or whatever, but it's not even about that. Like I'm so beyond that at this point and I'm glad that you're affirming it's okay that I parent differently with each kid.
You absolutely have to. And you have unique relationships with every single child as well.
Yeah.
Agreed.
I would agree with you all on that one too. And that is, I think, a learning moment when you get to that place where you go, yeah, you can't really do the same thing with everyone. They don't all respond the same. You may say one thing to one child and they take it completely different. Whereas you say that, I always laugh in our house because my girls are very quiet and they're thinkers. They process a lot in their head. My son's a lot like I am. So we just go at it all the time. I mean, it's just ping, 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 ping. But he's all, like, who does he call all the time? Who's he going to be checking in with? Who's he going to be like, hey, if this is going on, I'm calling mom, even when I don't want to hear it, who's he calling? Mom, So I do think, yeah, you have to respond very differently to them and really learn to navigate differently with each one through the different phases. But I'm just thankful. I don't know how old yours are, Keri. I'm just thankful that we survived long enough to get them to adulthood.
I'm still all over the place with my ages. I have one who's in high school and my youngest is in 2nd grade.
Gotcha.
That's mine.
Oh.
I love that. Okay, so Keri, I'm dying to know. Tell us a little bit more about Mental Health Uncensored, when it was published, and how long did it take for you to even like get that going and get it published and like all the things?
So this was my COVID project, and it happened because during COVID, mental health was just a disaster. And I know I was completely full with clients. All of my friends who are therapists were completely full with clients. Like we just couldn't see enough people in the week. And it was frustrating for me as a parent and as a therapist not to be able to help more people at that time. But, I'm one human being. I could only see so many people while maintaining my own mental health. So what I realized is that in all of my sessions, I kind of talk about the same thing. I kind of talk about the same philosophy, the same foundations. And I said, you know what? I need to write it down because I need to get it out there to the masses. That way people have some type of guide to help them through this. And not just with COVID, just with mental health in general. So I took the COVID time of being home a little bit more than I'm used to. And I wrote the book. It took 14 months. And then publishing it was like another whole ordeal. because again, right when you think you know something and you got something down, a new set of issues come up. I'm like, all right, now I know how to write a book. And then it's like, oh, I have to publish it now. I have to do a book design. So I went through that whole process, and it was only published on Amazon maybe 3 weeks ago.
Oh my gosh, congratulations.
Thank
Congratulations.
you.
Yay. I'm
Brianna's
so
like
happy
the
for you.
master of book self-publishing. We both have written books, but she's like the queen of this. She's got it all down now.
Oh, I should
Yes.
ask you for information.
Hey, that's okay. If you want to chat down the road about post marketing and all the things, just holler at me. I'll help you out.
That'd be great.
Those two. I
Yeah,
didn't know.
that's
I didn't
great.
know Brianna when my book came out. I wish I would have, because I went like you and really had to learn. I'm sure Brianna did too. We all do. We have to learn along the way, right? Like, but now it's funny because, in hindsight, I'm like, well, I kind of missed that. I kind of missed that, and if I'd have known this, I'd have done that differently. But it is what it is. So I'm excited that you got it out though, because
Yeah.
like you, I think it is a much needed thing. And yeah, I mean, we have enough issues with mental health outside of what's been going on. And then during COVID, you're right. I know somebody that committed suicide during COVID, and so it is definitely, it's a much needed, there needs to be more conversation about it, I think.
And unfortunately, it's not going away right now. Like, we are still in the throes of all of this. I'd say it's crisis. It's a mental health crisis. It really is. And people are diminishing. They're not even using that word, but it really is. It's actually a crisis.
Yes.
Amongst a lot of different age demographics too, between men and boys, and then also the teen and young adults. Like, it's insane.
Yes. Crisis is definitely the word for it. It's not getting any better just because COVID's over. I think if anything, it's still continuing to decline. It's really challenging for these kids. It's, so sad every time I read another story on Facebook about, another college student killing themselves, or somebody else from high school committing suicide. It's a conversation we need to be having, not being afraid to talk about it. We're not putting ideas out there of suicide just by talking about it. We have to discuss it.
Yeah, you can't throw it under the rug.
I agree.
Right?
I agree. It's,
Yeah.
ooh, yeah. It's just a real thing. It's in everybody's faces. And what are the tools, right? So you talk about, and you're saying that you talk about this guide or these steps, so to speak. And can you give us maybe an example of something that, that you found a lot of response from maybe your clients or even readers have said, wow, this section of the book really spoke to me, or something like that?
Yes, I think one of the sections, so my book is broken into really two types of sections. One is physical, because I think we don't connect that our physical health impacts our mental health. And I think that's actually like an aha moment for many people when they realize that. So I go through like all different physical areas that you need to be looking into and what you need to be doing to strengthen them. I don't think people realize that most of your brain chemicals are made in your gut. So if you don't have good gut health, it's like an uphill battle for mental health.
Right.
And then the other section is really more like principles to live by. And one of them that everyone, when they read it, they're like, yes, is you're not responsible for other people's feelings.
Right.
And I think that unfortunately today kids are taught the opposite. And they're taught to look externally for happiness instead of internal. And that will never truly make them happy. And then, they keep searching for it. They keep searching for the likes on Instagram. They keep searching for other people's approval. It has to come back to you. Just like you can't make somebody else happy. It has to come from within them. So I think, we really need to take a step back and look at how we're teaching kids about happiness. Yeah. We teach it from a very young age like that, like when my kids were younger, and I talk about this in the book, they came home one day and they're like, oh, we had an activity in school about filling up each other's buckets. And, it's writing kind words about each other. And I'm all for kindness. That's wonderful. But we can't be teaching these kids to rely on other people for these kind words. Because if we're saying rely on somebody else to fill up your bucket, then those other people can dump out your bucket. If you fill up your own bucket, no one's dumping that out. So I've always said to my kids, it's great to be nice to somebody. It's great to pay them a compliment, but you need to fill up your own bucket.
This is good.
I'm writing that down because I'm gonna be
Yeah.
telling that to my 6th grader today. Fill your bucket.
Fill your own bucket.
Right.
No one else could dump it out then.
It's
Well,
great.
and I think that I like this part where you're coming from this holistic approach, because I feel like you and I are speaking the same languages to a different demographic, because this is really a lot of what I do in my coaching. It's not, I feel like coaching is therapy. It's what I feel like, because when I work with clients, they always come to me for a specific reason. Most of them are entrepreneurs, so they're coming to me because they want to build their business. But as we know, my saying is always, how you show up in one area of your life is how you show up in all the areas of your life. And in order for all the areas to work right, you have to get right with yourself. And that's both physically and mentally, both aspects. And so when you talk about like gut health, yes, 100%. You cannot be healthy in your mind if your gut is not right. That's the whole gut, mind, body connection thing. And I speak from that because I've reversed a condition, and I had to do that. I did it physically by changing the way I was living my life in eating and diet, that form. But I also had to change the way I was thinking, because that wasn't enough to just change the diet. And so it's really this intricate puzzle that you put together, right? Like to make the person whole. But when you work on that, then yes, you become independent of everybody else's thinking and and looking for that confirmation and existential, all those, those outside things. Like I always joke and say, people think, I get a better job, I get a better car, I get a better boyfriend, I fix the boyfriend, right? Get my kids right. I get skinnier, I get my hair cut, all these existential things that we're going to be happy, only to find out that we're really not happy. Right.
I see that a lot with, my high schoolers who are applying to college. And it's like, once I get into the college of my dreams,
right,
I'll be happy. And then they get in and it's like, oh, I don't really feel different. And then they're disappointed because they thought that was the key. Or once I make, this position in this sport, I'll feel happy. And you can't keep on relying on the outside. Nothing is going to happen in your life that's going to be this moment of, now you're happy. Now it's there. It has to come from inside.
Yeah.
That's a hard concept for people to understand, even adults. Like, what does that even mean? How do I do that? How do I do that?
Concept. You have to kind of start figuring out what makes you happy on a daily basis.
Mm-hmm.
It's about the small stuff.
Mm-hmm.
What do you enjoy doing daily to bring joy into your life? Not waiting for this bigger moment. I don't know if you've seen the new Disney movie. Actually, it's not new. It came out during COVID. I've been referring it to my clients. I'm like, you have to watch this movie. But Disney put out a movie called Soul. And it talks about this exact issue, about really finding joy in the small things and not thinking some big achievement's going to change your life. And every kid that's watched it is like, oh, I see, I get it.
Yeah. It is a hard concept. It took me 40 something years. It took a crisis in 40 something years for me to get out of always looking for that existence. Well, for me, it was success. I was talking about success and crisis. It was always about conquering something. Like if it wasn't in a place where I was conquering an achievement, within in my organization or my team or something on that respect, then I was going through some crisis and then I'd conquer that. And I always talk about how the emotion you go through on both of those is very similar. You have the high and then you have the depression afterwards. How do you top it? How do you top this? You got to find something else to top it, right? There is nothing. And so, it's very hard for a lot of people to really grasp that, and so a lot of people that I work with, that's one of the very first things we do is I start having them track their small wins, like every day, start looking at what are you grateful for and what's your win for the day? Because in that process, that's how I learned to really start appreciating things, getting more in alignment with appreciating the journey. We want results. We want to win at things and we want to have this ultimate victory. But if you're stressing the entire time you're running to that victory line, and if you're coming off and having massive depression at the end of it, what's really winning? How are you winning? That's not really winning life, right? It's a moment of fleeting excitement that you lose, and so I'm with you. Mm-hmm. Get those wins, go for them.
This reminds me of, I'm a musician, Keri, and I coach independent artists inside their music businesses. I do online business strategies. I help them with their music careers. And one of the things that I coach on and talk about a lot is that crash and burn. It's like you get the big gig and you think it's everything, and you practice and you rehearse and you get ready, and then you perform, and it's like this massive high, and then the next day it's like this massive crash. And
Yes.
then they're like, and then again, it's what you're saying, it's like they're relying on the external, the audience appreciation, the screaming, "You're so amazing! Oh my God, I love you!" Right? And then they don't have it, it goes away, and they're back to square one again.
Mhm.
And that same sort of analogy is really appropriate for entrepreneurs, for anything, like anything in life, because it's not it whether you're a musician, artist, whatever. Everyone has like that thing, like, oh, like you just said, I'm gonna get in the college of my dreams, or I'm gonna get that job I want, or I'm gonna become this or that, or I'm gonna make $1 million, or I'm gonna right.
Right.
So
Right. I'm going to get married. I'm going to have kids. Life will be better
They're going to
then.
be perfect.
Right.
yeah, right. I'm gonna buy a house.
No, they're not. No, you guys are so right on so many levels with this. It is. And I think it's a journey, but I love that you're talking about this, because I think kids, the young people, they're so impressionable at this age. And, it's like we had a girl come on our show a few weeks back, with Revigen. She's a young, in her 20s, just graduated from college, and she and her sister created a mental health platform for young millennials to come in and get mental health. And we were talking about that, Brianna, how she had this, like, she was out of the country. I guess I can't remember what she was doing. She was like an intern or just traveling, but she had this wake up call, when the pandemic hit, that she had to come home, and she realized, like, what is she doing all this for? And so growing up in an environment where her parents were entrepreneurs, they were always taught to suppress their feelings, and really just, it was all about business. And so she and her sister created this platform to be able to address these, issues with young people on mental health awareness and stuff. And so, yeah, I think what you're doing is remarkable. And I think it is a much needed topic. And, if people can, they can catch this earlier, then great. They don't have to wait till they're in their mid 40s, pushing into their 50s to go, okay, now I've gained the wisdom to say, life is not, this always about winning these things and being miserable along the way. It's about embracing the journey and relishing the little wins and the moments, and really coming back to going, hey, what happened today? Maybe you didn't get this stellar win, but you met some incredible person that you might have never met had you not put your foot out there and been opening to, like what we're doing right now, having this conversation with Keri.
Absolutely. I definitely see a synergy too between Revigens and what Keri's doing.
Oh,
So
yeah.
we should connect them for sure, because it would be really neat I just feel, I definitely feel like there's something there.
Yeah. And they're a new
Absolutely.
business. So they just formed during COVID as well. So we've had a lot of people that have really, I don't know how long you've actually been in business. I know your book is a project that came through COVID, but we've had a lot of people really spur ideas during that time, make these pivots and create things. And it's been fun to talk to them.
Right. Well, it was really during COVID that everyone went, wait a second, I'm not overscheduled. I don't know what to do. And people either took it and really ran with it and made some great changes, or they didn't. And it was, really challenging for them. But when I was working with kids during COVID, I said, okay, you're not overscheduled. You don't have anything to do. What do you want to do?
Yeah.
What would actually make you happy? And some kids came up with great ideas. Like some were learning to cook meals. Others were learning, how to whittle wood. Like they were doing really fantastic things.
That's awesome.
Because they were actually able to pursue their own interests. It's not like, what's going on my college resume? What do I have to do for school? What do you want to do?
Yeah.
Sure. That's great. My neighbor's whittling wood, by the way.
Oh,
He's 15.
that's fun.
Great.
Keri, any advice that you would give to, let's say, maybe somebody that wants to write a book, maybe?
So you have to take away all of the excuses, because we all have them in our head. Oh, I need to, create my space. I have to create my space to write. I have to get this done first. You just have to sit down and do it. You just have to take away the excuses, all of the no's, and just go for it. And that's what I did. I just finally said, okay, like I have to do this. And I did it wherever I could do. Many times I was on my laptop in my car waiting for school pickups. Like it didn't matter where I was. Like I just wrote.
It's awesome.
That's awesome.
Wherever the spirit moves you, right? You've got a couple minutes, start writing.
Yes.
I get it. I get it. I remember many times when my kids were little, because I was in the direct selling industry. And I just remember many times sitting at like soccer fields or, like outside of karate on my phone, calling clients and booking calls. And we just did what you have to do when you've got kids, right?
You make it work.
I love it. I love it. All right. Well, I think we should do some fun rapid fire with Keri. What do you think?
Yes, definitely. Let's do that.
Right.
You gonna start?
Perfect. Okay. Keri, I would love to know, what is your favorite childhood cereal?
Okay, I know this one. So as a child, I made my own cereal. I took Oreos and crumbled them up right in that bowl and put milk on them. And that was my favorite cereal. And never in a million years would I eat that right now today, knowing what I know.
Milk and cookies. The other day I was at, we took the kids to Main Event for Sean's birthday. I have not been there probably in like 10 years, like since they were little. They had, in the prize shop, I don't know if you guys have Main Event where you're at, Keri, but it's like a Dave and Buster's. Or it's like they got bowling and arcade games. And then they have where you can cash in your points and you can get prizes. So Brianna, in the store, they had a box of marshmallow cereal, like Lucky Charms cereal with just the marshmallows. And that was like my favorite cereal was Lucky Charms, the marshmallows. And it's so funny because on the box it says there's no nutritional value in this.
It's just marshmallows.
That's marshmallows.
Oh my
I was almost
goodness.
like my kid's trying to he wanted a Nerf gun. He collected enough points from all of us to go buy. He's like 18, but he wanted this Nerf gun. So he got this Nerf gun. I'm like, just go buy the marshmallow cereal.
Oh my gosh. That's insane.
Because if you ever had Lucky Charms, how I don't know about you guys, but I would pour it and try to dig more marshmallows out of the cereal to get in my bowl because that was my favorite part of the cereal.
Yep, that's my daughter Ruby. She's
so good.
That's great. Okay.
Awesome. All right. Keri, favorite destination place?
Disney.
Oh,
I like Disney.
Wow. Are you one of those like, let's get married at Disney or let's?
So I'm a secret Disney addict. Like you wouldn't know unless you really, really know me. But I'm slightly obsessed. It even made it into the book because I talk about Disney in my book. But it is like my favorite place to go.
Oh my God. I have a really good friend.
And it's just, it's wonderful.
Yeah, they go like on their anniversary, like wedding anniversaries. They go to Disney. I'm like, wow, you guys are, you're in love. You love Disney. That's clear. That's great.
I would go to Disney too. If you had to ask me my favorite place to go, it'd probably be Disney too. But nobody in my house shares that same sentiment. We actually did a Disney cruise probably about 8 or 9 years ago. And I think that I had more fun on that than my kids even did. I was just like, it was so much fun to me, and why I think I like it is because it's just positive energy. It's like happy kind of stuff, like the characters are just happy and stuff. And every
magical.
Anybody want to go to Disney? And everybody's like, Keri, maybe you and I need to pack up and go to Disney.
You guys need to go to Disney.
I will be there. It'll just be a Jennifer and Keri. Whoever wants to come along. We're going to Disney.
And do you have a preference of Orlando versus Anaheim?
So I've only ever been to Orlando.
Okay.
So that's where we go because again, I still have really little ones. And I think a flight for me across the country is not going to happen right now.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great. I love it.
Good choice.
All right, I'm up. First concert, beat you to it, Jennifer.
All good.
First concert, it was Lollapalooza on Randall's Island. And I'm not sure what year it was. It was probably like 94, maybe.
I was going to say it was probably 93 or 94.
Yeah, I think it was 94. And it was
anybody that played there?
Beastie Boys were there.
Nice. Was Pearl Jam there?
No, Pearl Jam was not there. But
was it Green Day? Was
Green Day was there?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Smashing Pumpkins.
These are all good.
Or STP?
No, they weren't there.
Smashing Pumpkins. Pumpkins.
Yeah, I think they may have been there.
That's great. What a good time.
It was awesome.
Fun.
Love it.
Okay. All right, fun question. What's in your Amazon cart right now?
Right now, there are Squishmallows
Oh yeah, it's good stuff.
because my daughter just turned 8 and she got an Amazon gift card, and that is sitting in my cart right now because that's what she wants. And a bed pillow for my other daughter is sitting in my cart right now.
Bed pillow sounds nice.
Yes.
That is so fun. Well, thank you so much, Keri, for joining us today. This was so much fun, and congrats again on publishing your book. Tell everyone who's listening in where they can, follow you, find this book, grab this book, all
They
the
can
things.
follow me on Instagram and Facebook at Keri Cooper Holistic Therapy. That's also the name of my website if they want to check that out. And my book, Mental Health Uncensored, 10 Foundations Every Parent Needs to Know, is available on Amazon on both ebook and a paperback.
Good
Great.
stuff. Good stuff. And we do want to say, of course, to our listeners, if you enjoy our show, please be sure you give us a rating both on iTunes and Facebook, because we can't do this without you, and hit the subscribe button on YouTube.
Okay, so here we go. This is from Dr. Wayne Dyer. Everything is either an opportunity to grow or an obstacle to keep you from growing. You get to choose.
Ooh, I like it. I like Wayne Dyer stuff.
Yeah, I do too.
Sharing
I do
it.
too.
All right. And to live the extraordinary, you must start, and every start begins with a decision. You guys take care, be safe, and be kind to one another. We will see you next time.